myself, I believe in myself. Everybody put your hands together for Kyle Giroux!
Yeah!
I get it! Get it!
It's good, I've heard better. I'm Kyle Giroux. I think that you can get away with virtually anything if you bullshit your way through the criticism. I take the guy who invented Post-it notes. That guy was trying to invent a super glue and made literally the exact opposite. He made a glue that kind of sometimes sticks to shit. But when his friends were like, hey man, you fucked that one up, what was up with that? He was like, no I didn't. I made something better. Anyone can make a glue that sticks to stuff. Have you ever seen a glue that kind of sticks to things? Like, have you ever taken a piece of paper and said, hey, I wish I could take this other piece of paper, stick them together a few times until the glue gets not sticky and then they fall apart? Well, I call it the Post-it note. You're welcome. He got kind of lucky in a way. Aside from bullshitting his way to becoming a millionaire, he avoided a sure failure because the super glue market is saturated. You have your crazy glue, your gorilla glue. Elmer's glue isn't super glue, but it's pretty sticky. The not sticky glue market, wide open. That's why I want to be a weatherman, because those guys get paid to bullshit. Like, I don't even think that radar works. I don't think it's a real thing. You hear them declare the storm of the century every other week, and you wake up and there's no snow on the ground. And they're like, I know, it's still cold. I said it would be cold. And I gave it an 80% chance. That's not 100%. And now you have a surplus of water. You're welcome. A lot of people subscribe to the ancient aliens theory on how shit happened. The theory goes that ancient aliens came down, in ancient Egypt, ancient cultures, and taught them how to build stuff. And one of some of the proof they use is that there's pyramids in Egypt and there's pyramids in Peru, but these ancient cultures did not have connection with each other. But all a pyramid is a building that's really big on the bottom and small at the top. What the fuck else are you going to build with enormous blocks of stone? It can't be small on the bottom and big at the top, it'll tip over. It's a dumb joke. 90s me would have liked that joke though, because 90s me loved ancient Egypt, but I don't think 90s me would have liked the rest of my act. I like to picture 90s me sitting on this stool here, whispering in my ear, sitting here saying, come on man, do a joke about squand. And I'm like, you mean that 90s toy that was like sand above water and clay below water that we used to mold dicks out of? Yeah man, that's why they call it squand. Do your Good Burger impression. Come on, man, I love that. To which I say to 90s me, shut up. I didn't come here for your criticism. I came here for A, the novelty of meeting 90s me, which is pretty cool. And B, to warn you about Caitlin. Those are not razor bumps. Do not believe her. Thanks, guys.
Keep it going, guys. The first squand joke since the 1990s. It's got the market on it. Guys, are you ready for your next comedian?
Yeah!
Put your hands together for Mr. Ian Chandler!
Yeah!
Hey everybody.
Hey!
Someone asked Jake to mess up my name, but he didn't. I don't know what that's about. So, my name's Ian. I come from Cape Cod. If you're not familiar with the Cape and you're looking at a map, well, Cape Cod's the little fetal alcohol syndrome baby arm sticking out in the water east of here. It is a beautiful, beautiful little arm. If you ever get the chance to visit the Cape, definitely recommend it. But if you do, bear in mind you're going to run into some retired folk. There's a lot of retired people on the Cape. Which reminds me, I don't like when people use the word retarded to describe something they think is stupid. I think it offends the mentally handicapped community. But I'm here to offer a substitution, and that is retired. It's simple, it's fast, it's easy, and at the end of the day it just makes sense because Grandpa Lewis is retired. So I'm not losing anything in the transition. I think if I've learned one thing growing up on the Cape is that the people there, well, they expect to be treated like royalty 24/7. That's just the way they are. It's like if you give them a grand piano, which is a fine gift, they'll refuse it. They'll be like, no, you dip that shit in gold and chocolate, and preferably give it to me on a bed of lobsters, and I will accept this gift. So naturally, everyone in my town, I live in Falmouth, they've been boycotting our local dollar store for years. They think it insults them on a fundamental level, and I think I understand why. It's like they view their lives as these giant gold and chocolate pianos, and the dollar store is sitting there like a giant plastic children's toy piano, and it's all dipped in mayonnaise and thumbtacks, and you can't touch it, it smells bad. Ugh. Get away from me. That's all you need to know about people from the Cape. But yeah, I'm nothing like that, let me tell you. I got a day job, and that's not something everyone can say on the Cape. I work at a laboratory. Yeah, as vague as that gets. I work at a laboratory, and I think the funniest thing about working at a laboratory are the people you work with, because going in I was like, I'm going to be working with some scientists. I'm excited. But no, kind of just like me. I mean, I work there. I'm not a scientist. So I should have seen that coming. I'll give you an example. One day, last week, we were working with this chemical called pyrrolidinone. And I asked the people I was working with, what does this stuff do? What is this stuff? And nobody could tell me what it did, what it was. Well, that's not true. They did assure me that if I sniffed it, I'd be sterile. So they knew that much. So that day I went home after work, and I was curious, because that's pretty intense. And I Wikipedia'd pyrrolidinone. It turns out it's all that it does. So it's the last time I second guess a scientist. But yeah, I love working in a laboratory. It's probably because I'm a giant nerd. Parents were big nerds, it makes sense. I'm birthed from nerdish seed. I think the day I found out my dad was like the biggest nerd in the world was the day he sat me down and talked to me about drugs, the big drug talk. And it was weird because it was like last week. I was too nervous to do it before. So, you know, he's a chronic sweater. He sweats when he's stressed. So it made it even worse because he sat me down on his knee. Which was weird. You know, we had this little balancing act going on. I think it was a little heavier than he expected. He was crumpling under the weight. He kind of had his arm around me in a loose hug, kind of craned his neck, breathing into my shoulder. And he said, son, I know people are going to offer you some stuff. I know the temptations are there. You just got to say no. And here's why. And this is when he's supposed to, you know, here's the kicker, folks. This is why. He says, because I tried pot one time in college, and I couldn't do math for 3 days. 3 days. Do you want this to happen to you? I said, no. No. And so in honor of my father, I always bring a calculator with me whenever I go out experimenting. And that is a guide to an early retirement on the Cape, folks. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. we have our headliner, or another word for the guy who's going last. Everybody put your